value of the goods and services that your country produced in a particular period, which in our case would be the fiscal year, right? And per capita means per head. So if, for instance, now that's not the revenue, right? Revenue is the taxes on those goods and services. So GDP is what private sector, everyone has produced in the country, and it's mostly the energy sector and businesses that are dependent on the energy sector's viability, whether it's a bank or whatever it is. So they tell you GDP per capita, and let us say they tell you the GDP per capita for the 1.4 million people that live in this country, saying, well, each person will get 12,000 or 14,000 US, and compared to a lot of so-called developing, or like they no longer use the term third world, so developing countries, compared to many of them, that sounds very good. But that is misleading, because that does not mean that you are getting that 14,000. So that's one of the things, the GDP per capita. What you want to look at, which is stopped publishing since 1990, the CSO, is what they call the Gini coefficient index. And it sounds very fancy, but basically what it tells you is if I took that $300 million that I told you about, and I distributed it really among the population of 1.4 million, you might find out that 100 million of that went to 2% of the population. So you really didn't get anything. So when they tell you per capita and you think you got something, you didn't get anything. What they need to tell you, two things they need to tell you. The Gini coefficient. They need to tell you, when they distribute that in the population, how much goes into what percentage of the population. Which is why people say that there's so many people in this country who are starving, who are living under the poverty line, and that is a main concern. Another thing you want to look at is what they call the real GDP, which he has been doing it now, which I don't think early on he used to do it, but maybe other people have raised it. I know other economists have raised it. I'm not an economist, but economists have raised it. Let me keep in my lane. But when they talk about the real GDP, is when you take out the impact of inflation. What does that mean? I use my silly example of a mango. If your country, Trinidad, was producing 5 mangoes for export, through nothing that we did, like the UK and Russian war, OPEC cutting back supplies, countries increasing the inventory of oil and gas so they don't get caught off guard again, whatever it is, that 5 mangoes that you were selling for $2 in 2019, out of it had nothing to do with you. The price went up. That's inflation. Real. It went up $200, and that's what you exported. You're not even producing 5 mangoes. You're producing only 4. But guess what? Instead of getting $2 a mango, you're getting $250 a mango. That's your real GDP. That is when you put in the impact of the increase in the price of those same goods and services. If you take it out, when you take it out, move it out, take out that, then you will know what the real value is. And then you will find out that the economy did not grow. Because you know what you find out? You're no longer producing 5 mangoes, You're producing 4 mangoes. But you know what? Your GDP is looking good. You know why? Because even though it's only 4 mangoes you're producing, you're getting, let's say, $500 for that mango. So when you look at the GDP, it's looking much better than it looked last year. But did your economy grow? No. Why it didn't grow? Because you're not producing 5 mangoes, you're producing 4, but you're getting much more for those same mangoes but it had nothing to do with you. And that's our energy sector. So the real GDP, the GDP per capita, you have to look at the Gini coefficient, which they do not publish, and then a very important thing is your inflation.